After listening keenly and seeing Chief Hoshua's extensive research, I was left without a doubt that he was onto something. As we drove to the site Hoshua calls the real city of David, I couldn't help but wonder, was he unveiling the greatest religious cover-up on earth? And how would this impact Jews, Christians, Muslims alike? My thoughts were brought to a halt as Hoshua began explaining a diagram on his laptop as we drew near to our destination.
Now, see, as I approached the place just like we're approaching it right now, I was amazed because this is a picture I pulled up in America about what the city of David is supposed to look like. And it showed Zion, the fort being at the top, and the temple mount here, and the gate or the eastern gate here. Now as I'm driving up here, now look, do you see the fort? That's the fort here.
Hoshua had asked Sheikh Ayed to stop. He wanted to elaborate on the misconceptions and why.
Now what was happening here is you saw as we walked up here, remember when we showed you in the office, we made a point of how we saw the walls in there, but we didn't see the fort. So when I came here and as I'm driving up, just as we doing right now, I saw the fort. I said, unbelievable. You see, because you can see it. It says the city upon the hill what? Cannot be hidden. See, Zion was the fort that they was trying to take, and they couldn't take it. All of Israel was in this whole area, but they couldn't take this fort. And what happened here, that fort is supposed to be on top of the hill, and then on the other hill is supposed to be the temple. And then you saw the walls that's preceding it around. So this is the exact picture of Jerusalem. You see, and many people try to come to me and say, wow, you're a genius. You're a genius. Well, you know, you trying to tell me that I'm the only one that knew that this was the house of Yahweh. No, we have the proof that the world knew it. But the fact is that we, the children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelite people, are the ones that's pointing the way. You see the sheikh praying. Now see, this is deep. Because look at, now you see his Zion here, but the sheikh here is actually praying toward Mecca. See, years ago, when the Prophet Muhammad was here, peace and blessings upon him, there was a decision that was made whether we should pray toward Jerusalem or we should pray toward Mecca. You see, so it was decided among our Islamic brothers that they would pray toward Mecca. But the children of Israel are commanded to pray toward Jerusalem. You see, so this is the significance of what we're dealing with here now. So now everybody, all the children of Israel that's up in between that point, they're praying in the wrong direction. Now all our Islamic brothers that's praying toward Mecca, they're praying in the right direction. But the Hebrew Israelites that doesn't know the exact location of Zion, they're praying in absolutely the wrong direction.
We had reached our destination. Before we headed up to the top of the hill, Brother Hoshua stopped to share more insight.
We have to stop here, brother. See, because as I'm showing you and telling you about the place, I'm letting you see it as it unfolded to me. So as we drove up, we saw the fort at the top. Where in America, it didn't show that type of research. You actually saw, as we was down in the center there, the place there, the actual fort where it says Kodesh Kodeshim, Holy of Holies. But now as I'm driving up here, I had to stop the car because I saw something. You see this map here? Hold that map for me. That map says City of David. City of David, yep. Jubicite City. Now we got the you see the gate? Yeah, the gate. You see it up at the top there. Yeah. But now it's supposed to be what? The Guyan Spring is supposed to be here, right before the gate. So now, as we walk over there, we're supposed to see something square and some type of source of water. Okay, now let's go on over here, brother. Let's see this. Now this was the first clue that I had. And I stopped here, and I had my sons with me. And I said, hold up, look at this. It's a square.
Here's a square, here's a square.
And then I said, that's a square. So then I started looking for a water source because it's supposed to be some type of pool here called the Guyan Spring. So we came through here. Come on here, brother. Come over here. And we saw our water source right here. saw a water source actually right here. You see, so this is the pool from the guy that came down from the source, the underwater stream that filled up this pool that became known as the Guyan Spring. So this was our first sign of Zion and Jerusalem. That when you go up to what the plot they call Jerusalem, this don't line up at all. Okay, now these steps that we standing in, it's written in the book of Ezekiel when it talks about the high priest as he come into the temple. And it makes a statement that in the scriptures that the Mashiach is going to walk up these steps. And the gate that you see in front of us here, that eastern gate, only he is going to be able to enter into it. But so now let's stop right here. Most of the time, see, so you can see right here, Jerusalem is supposed to be a desert, supposed to be wasted. It says Zion, which no man seeketh after. So, do you see a crowd of people trying to get in here? No. You see, so this fits the prophecy of what the scripture says. Zion shall be a wilderness and a waste place. And you see right here where it says, Jerusalem shall be plowed like a field. So what you're seeing here is the fulfillment of prophecy. And between here and there, you see that little water area? Yeah. Between here and there, there's supposed to be what's called the Guyan Spring. Or pardon me, it's supposed to be called the Kittrick Valley, the book of Kittrick. And it's supposed to be right there in the area where you see that water at. You see, so everything here between Mount Olive and Mount Zion. So this fits all of the geographical locations that fit the scriptures, the geographical scripture, and even down to the T in the prophecy, we say, Zion which no man seeketh after. So when you've been to that place they call Jerusalem, right? Yep. They piling in there trying to get there, breaking their necks trying to get there. But the only house of Jehovah in all the land of Israel, ain't nobody trying to get here.
Interesting.
So now let's show you another piece of prophecy right over here. Because we showed you the actual spring at the bottom, the source. But now let's show you here the prophetic source of when it's going to come from in the future, right here. Okay. Now you see right here, in the book of Ezekiel, it goes off and talking about how in the future, when the children of Israel return and they start praying here in the holy days, what's going to happen is the water is going to spring from this source. Now you saw the source below. The water, the original spring sprung here, and then it went down in this direction and filled up that pool along with the other source there. And according to the scriptures, it's going to come from here, it's going to spring from there, it's going to spring from there, spring from there, spring from there. And it says that as the river flows, it's going to get bigger, bigger, and bigger. Springs are going to spring out throughout the whole of the land. And it says one stream is going to go right down toward this path. And another spring is going to go down to other path. And it's going to go down to Yamamelech, the salt sea. And one part of the sea is going to be healed. And another part of the sea is going to remain salty. So we're going to actually see that as we go down to the borders of Judah. And as we examine the borders of Judah. But this is another prophetic proof. And it's still here today. Now let's walk inside. Okay, now what's happening here is that most of the people, when they walk up here, they have no idea of what the bridge is. And you saw the sheikh down there as he was praying. This here is the area where all the people would come and pray and prostrate, right in this area here. And then they would come in and they would walk around here, and then they would say a prayer right in here. They would kneel here, and they would say a prayer in this direction. And then the priest would come, and they would come from here, and they would give their offerings to the priest, and then he would walk inside. And then the people would walk out here. So as you can tell, so right now you're standing in the wide path, and then that's the narrow path as the people walk through. But what is this here, right here in front of you? I want you to read this, but take that sheet there and read what this is actually here. Because most people, when they look at it, they have no idea what this is.
Okay, it says the entrance is a bench. And
it's a what?
It's a bench.
It's a bench. So this is a bench. This is where you would come and you would do what? You would sit. You would sit. So let's continue. Continue reading that, brother.
And a unique structure. The bench built an ashlar along the outer wall of the northeast gate tower is 4.5 meters long. It was probably on such a bench that the elders of Israel used to sit.
So the sheikhs used to come here, and they would sit right here on the bench. Continue.
When the psalmist speaks of those that sit in the gate, Psalm 69 verse 13. Oh, interesting. He must have had in mind a bench similar to the one Ruth discovered here. A good illustration is given in the book of Ruth 4 verse 1 and 2. Okay, so you can actually find the Bible.
And that's the point. See, all this is scriptures is describing the benches and how the elders would come here and they would sit there. Continue reading the Ruth.
Okay, it says, then Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there, and behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz had spoke came by. And he said to them, he said to him, sit down here, and he sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit ye down.
So the sheikhs, the elders came and they said, all 10 men, they would come down and they would sit here to bring forth judgment for the people. And the prophets of Israel will also come here and prophesy. And of course, we didn't listen, because that's why we got cast out the land. But this is the area right here where they would sit here and they would prophesy in the words of Jah Allah, and they would put forth everything that Jah Allah brought to us. Again, because when we were rebellious to Jah Allah, we were rebellious, and we was cast out of the land. So now, right here, this tells you, and this is the proof of the time frame that we're dealing with here. Now, this was David's period of time. We're talking about David's time period. So this is the 10th century BC time when David came, then and Israel ruled, and then after Israel ruled, you had the Persians came in, the Greeks came in, the Romans came in, the Byzantines came in, and then we have the Arab period. Now the artifacts that they found here, this is the list of the artifacts. They found Hebrew artifacts from David's time, from Solomon's time. Notice, they first found the artifacts in David's time, because this is what? The tabernacle of David. They found the first Hebrew artifacts here in this time. Then Solomon's time. All the way to then they found the Aramaic when the Babylonians came in here. And then the Greeks. And then the last piece here that they found here was Arabic. And what happened here, and they found artifacts here that says house of Allah, place of Allah. And what happened is that at this specific time here, this was the first time, this is a very key period. Because in this period, the first crusade took place. And I have a document in Arabic that calls this place, that calls this place Aliyah. And it says in Arabic that the Arabs made agreement with the Romans to keep the Hebrew people from this place. To keep all the Hebrew people from any knowledge of this place. And that agreement was written in Arabic. We're going to have our brother read that later. That agreement was written in Arabic, and it was written at this time. And at that point, the place was buried. This place was literally buried. It was in a hill. It was in a hill, a heap. When it was discovered, it was just like this. It was buried. The whole city was buried. The Christians and our Arab brothers feared, specifically our Palestinian brothers, they feared to destroy the place. So they buried it. But what happened, as the rain came, the water dissipated, and it started to uncover the city. So nobody uncovered this place. When the archaeologists came in 1962, it was already uncovered. Jah Allah uncovered this place. and brought this place to light again.
According to Hoshua, there was a great conspiracy in the land. He explained that the walls in the city currently known as Jerusalem have inscriptions on them written in Arabic, stating when they were built and that the time period would unveil the truth.
You see, so all they have artifacts of Beit Yehoah in Hebrew, but in Arabic, the house of Allah. All that proof verifies that this is the place. That's why all of the people are going to gather here as your documentary go off into. And as the truth being uncovered. All your documentaries are pointing to this time frame, to this place. Everything that you were studying, you've been researching, has been leading right to this point. Let's go inside. Okay, so right now we're standing here before what is called the Holy of Holies, or actually what's called the temple area. And I want this brother here to read this here, to give an idea.
Okay. From this description, it is clear that the temple was built on a long room plane rather than a broad room plane.
You see, so the fact is that what we have here, you can see how this is not a temple, but it's actually a tabernacle. And when you look here, holding that up, you can see that the ark sat there. And that this area here was the Holy of Holies. This is the holy area. Here you have what's called the table of the showbread. And here you had the candlesticks. So this was the setup that they have here. Now when you go to Rome, you're going to see the candlesticks. But you're not going to see the showbread table or the ark. Because this was the place that the Romans came and they actually took the vessels from. It was actually from this place here. That's why you only see the candlesticks. Because that's the only thing mentioned here. So they came to Zion and they took it from here and they brought the artifacts to Titus Gate. And see, so right now, so what you're seeing here is the ark set there. And I'd like to show people the area here, if we get a little closer. This was the Gaion Spring. This is the source of the Gaion Spring. We're going to actually walk down inside of there. Because underneath here is where Hezekiah redirected the spring from that direction down into the lower city. King Solomon was actually anointed right here as king. Esau, peace and blessings upon him, Jesus actually came right here and he was teaching the Torah. The Torah scroll was reached out here. When he walked that 2 miles from Mount Olive, ate in the cornfield, and then he came up here to Zion and taught in the Shabbat, in the Bet Knesset. You see, so now we're going to take you down in the area to see what they tell everybody, what the archaeologists, what everybody been telling everybody. No, stop. But before we do that, we need to show you why this place is called Zion. Let's step right over here. The reason I had to take you over here, because this is the main reason why this place was called Zion. And it's good. What does that look like to you, just looking down there, just off the top of your mind?
It's a ditch.
It's just a ditch, huh? And we said, actually, this is a pool. You see, and most Jewish people, Hebrew people, understand the concept of what is called a mikvah. You see what I'm saying? And people would come here and they would swim. Because after man had sex, after a woman had a period, they were demanded to keep themselves clean. And they would have to come and clean themselves. The word Zion meant actually swim in as. In ancient Hebrew, it means to swim, to go and swim. The Jewish and the Babylonian Judaic, it means penis. But here it actually means to swim. And this is the pool or the mikvah that everyone would come and they would actually swim in. So this is the reason why this was called Zion. For the purity. This was the place that you would spiritually and physically come and purify yourself and become a new man. You see, so this is what the people have to do today. So now we're going to take you down there and we're going to actually show you why the testimony that they made that this is Mishkan David, the Holy of Holies, the only house of Jehovah in all the land of Israel. Man, I'm getting old. Look at this here, man. Now see, I got to show you, before we leave the top here, we got to show you this diagram. Now you can see here, where it talked about Zion is in the side of the north. And that's right there, Songs, where it makes Zion is in the side of the north. So as you see, and it's also said Jerusalem, surrounded by mountains, as Songs 125 and 2. So now look at this here. If we can have the butter pan around, look at this here. All of this here is surrounded by what?
Mountains.
It's surrounded by mountains. You see. Now when you go, now when we take you up to the spot that they call Jerusalem, you're going to see it's on top of a mountain.
Interesting.
It's not surrounded by mountains.
Well, I can see myself, this is surrounded by mountains. So you're saying the average Jerusalem is on top of a mountain?
On top of a mountain. You see. And see, so this tells you can't change. You can't change the geography. You can't change it. So the archaeology fits this place, the scriptures fit it, and the geography fits it. When you go there, the archaeology don't fit it, the scriptures don't fit it, and the geography doesn't fit it. You see, so you have Zion here in the side of the north. So this is the northern edge. This is televised here, and this is you see right here. We're on the north side of this valley. So Zion in the side of the north. So everything here is fitting. You see, and we got Mount Olive there on the east, and as I pointed to you, we started there. And David fled from here, went through that road, and when he got to the crest of Mount Olive, he sent Zadok back with the ark here. And Zadok brought the ark back here, remained. And they found an artifact with the name of Zadok in this place. Unbelievable. You see. So the archaeology fit, the geography fit. We pointed out to you the book of Kitchener. When you go there, you're not going to see a book. You're not going to see any clue of anything, any type of water source between Zion or the Temple Mount and Mount Olive.
Interesting.
So now let's take you down there to see the actual Holy of Holies. Okay, now see, so now this is the reason why you came all of this far. You know, right now, this is the point where we at now, where the main focus, the main energy, everything that we came to Israel for, all our research led to the point we have right now. Now you can see that they tell you that this is the what?
Holy of Holies.
You see, and Sheikh.
המקדש היחיד שהתגלה עד כה.
And in Arabic.
المعبد هذا هو المعبد الوحيد الذي عثر عليه حتى الآن.
You see, very clear. They're telling you all three languages.
Yeah.
You see that this is the place. Now you see here, now read that again, brother. This is what?
This is the only temple discovered so far within the boundaries of the kingdom of Judah.
So they're telling you clearly here that this is the only temple, or we know it is the tabernacle of David, that they have found, and they're telling you within the kingdom of Judah. So this is Judah. This is Judah. And what was you telling me, Sheikh?
המקדש היחיד שהתגלה עד כה בתחומי ממלכת יהודה.
And what was your testimony, Sheikh? And you said you know that this is the land of Yehuda.
I know this is the land of Yehuda. It's southern of this Jerusalem, what they call it today.
That's not the land. That's not Judah's land.
It's not Judah's land in the south of Jerusalem. That's Jerusalem.
And see, and I know that you have Bedouin in this area that know that this is.
Yeah.
And you have Jewish in this area that know that this is. Can you bear witness to that, Sheikh? Can you bear witness? Speak up.
I can be a witness because you know some of the Bedouins.
Okay.
I know from even themselves. They know some tribe, one tribe, Bedouin tribe. We call them Bini Israel tribe. We know the correct. Before they was Bini Israel.
Okay.
But today they are Bedouin, they are Muslim.
Maybe.
They live in that. And we know, as you know, that's before 2,500 years. There's in this place just a Bedouin, in this area, Bedouin and Bini Israel.
Okay, now as I pointed out to you before, this is the pool that Solomon, the water that was drawn from here, that he was actually anointed from this water. Right here, this little pool. Let's continue on that.
Joshua then led us to the source of the Gaian spring.
And what you're looking at now is actually the source of the Gaian spring. This is actually the source. When we were outside, we saw the little crack. That crack originated from this source. And then when we were outside, we saw the other bigger crack. It originated from this source. So this was actually the source of the Gaian spring. And then later on, Hezekiah built this channel. So let's walk a little bit further down. You're going to see the channel which Hezekiah built to redirect the water into the lower city. Let's continue. And what we have here now is that we have the actual source that Hezekiah ran down into the lower city. Now from there, the water, he opened up this channel, the water started flowing down into here, fill it up, and it would go into here and go down into the lower city. So this is actually Hezekiah's tunic. Now we get to the spot that they call Hezekiah's tunic. What you're going to notice, it doesn't head to the lower city. It don't go into an area they call Jerusalem at all. You know what I'm saying? If they call Hezekiah's tunic and it's spring or whatever, it don't take you, it don't stop in the fort. It don't stop what they call the prayer place. It don't stop there. It has no connection with that. You see? And it has no connection to what they call the old city.
So you're saying here was filled up and the water went out there. Water.
That was the source. And before the water flowed, remember, down into that crack, and then down into the other, it flowed that direction. But then Hezekiah redirected, plugged that up, he opened this up, and he redirected the water where it didn't go in that direction, it came here. It could flow very easy, and then fill up there and go out. You see, but this is also the gutter that I'm going to show you when we walk up, that Joab climbed through to take the city. You see, but then later what happened, so he built this hole here, where the ark that was here was able to come down, and the secret chamber, and this secret chamber was being the place where the ark was able to place into the secret chamber, right here. You see, so this is where this hole is. You can see it's just an empty room. It leads nowhere. You see, this was the place where the holy vessels were placed in case of attack. You see, so you will see none of this. Now they knew, and every archaeologist knows, because they studied this, that the ark was in the water source. Okay, now what we just seen here, you won't see this nowhere in the area they call Jerusalem. Now they got an area they call Warren Trench. You see, but it don't connect to the city. It has nothing to do to the area they call the Holy Temple area of Mount Zion. It's in the area that they call what they call the actual city of David. But see, because they said two lies. First, they told the world that that actual spot, the walls, there was the city of David, and the Temple Mount was the city of David. That was the first lie. Then, actually, when they found some archaeological information, then they said, well, this is the city of David. And then they said, well, this is the route, but it don't connect to any fortress at all. So we're going to show you all of that. So now let's go up now, and we're going to show you where Joab actually climbed in here and how they actually took the city. That's the next stop.
I was looking forward to seeing the historical spot which marked a very important stamp on the Israelite claim for Jerusalem from the Jebusites.
Okay, now you can see here where it says the water channel. Yeah. Now right here, when you look down here, this is actually the spot where Joab and them came at 2 Samuel here at 5 and 8. It shows in that scripture, you will see that they came here and they took the city. And here goes the diagram. I'm going to put that in your hand here, where you can actually see the water channel and how they climbed through here and came past the wall into the Lord's city. You see that part right there? This is the area there. This is the channel that they came and crawled through. This here, now stop. This here is the little round hole area, and this is the upper area, which is I see the foot. This is exactly what we see here. Now I didn't make these diagrams up.
So everybody,
I didn't make these scripture diagrams
nah,
up.
bro, truth. Evidence is amazing. I mean, it looks exactly the same. There's no difference. Shaking.
Exactly the diagram. Now normally I have a couple of brothers. If you guys watch my Facebook and YouTube channel, you see I have a couple of brothers climb through there. You see, but we couldn't get no volunteers today, could we, brother? Okay. So what's going to happen here now is that, so this here is also, so we showed you from the bottom how Hezekiah redirected, because the water was flowing in that direction. Hezekiah redirected it from the gutter outward into this direction here, and then he built a chamber down into the lower city. Now in the lower city here, that's where we have the pool. That's where we have the pool. And in the direction here, let's see if we got the diagram here. Anybody, did we carry one of those wide maps with it? Anybody got one with them? In your pocket there? Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
You see what I'm saying? And we got to mention the cameraman's name. That's our brother who?
Cameraman, man.
Let's mention your name. What's your name, brother?
Nathaniel Ben Yehuda.
That's it. So we got to mention it. Wonderful work. And you can see here, they letting you know that the water came from down into the lower city area. It actually goes down to feel the water from here down there.
They know the truth, man. They know.
You see, but they know the truth, but they don't want us to what?
Know the truth.
They don't want us to know. You see. So bananas all over. The truth is out. You understand? The children of Israel, the Hebrew people, telling it all. Okay, so now we're going to walk past here. We're going to take you around to the chambers. We're going to take you out. We've got to show you one more last thing. We got to show you the grave of King David. Come on, let's go around here. You can see, like I said, we're right here on the corner here, and what was happening is that the people, when they look down here, the people say, "Hey, David, you ain't gonna be able to get in here, man." Why? Because this fortress commanded a view. You can see all the way to the mountain that goes down to the Mona. You can see all the way up to the mountains, mountains all around. That's the scripture says. And David. This is where David here, he saw the woman down there bathing. So it's interesting that the grave of David is right here.
David's grave.
Right here. You see, so these people, when they start talking about Zion and Jerusalem up there, it don't even compare. You see, any military person will let you know that you always try to get the high ground. And when the Jubilees were sitting around screaming,
I tried to say that.
no, you say it.
No.
I'm tired of talking.
No, I was just going to say when Jubilees were taken, then you can't come up here. Because they could see from afar everything. He said you can't come up here. And David did go up and take the stronghold of their fortress, which is Zion.
But how did he do it? Through the gutter that we just showed you. He sent 2 men, and they became the chief of his army because they came in here and they took it there. You don't see this there. It just don't fit. You see, so the fact is that OJ, when they pulled out the glove on OJ, you follow me? And they said, okay, OJ, this was the glove of the murderer. This is the glove of the murderer. And that glove didn't fit. That Jerusalem don't fit. This Jerusalem, the Amorite Jerusalem, don't fit. The Jubasite Jerusalem and Zion, and where they call Tel Aviv, it fits like a glove.
Interesting.
Guilty.
Beautiful.
So let me take you around here, and now let me show you why the Most High loved the gates of Zion more than all the dwellers of Jacob.
Psalms 87.
Let's show you why. So they couldn't take the city, and that don't fit. That just didn't, OJ's glove didn't fit. But you can see here, in the book of Nehemiah, it talks about when the people were rebuilding this place, they make a point of saying that they took the grave from the graves of the king, and they planted King David here. What had happened was that our people had started to take on Babylonians' ways, and they started to view where the body of the dead, the righteous dead, brought blessings upon them. So they removed David's grave from the place, and they buried it right in here. And this was the grave of King David. And that was the grave. Well, we're gonna leave whose grave that is a secret. We want you guys to come to Zion And I'm going to show you all the rest of the sequences here. But let's take you over to what's happening here and why this place was actually called. You know, why the Most High loved the gates of Zion more than he loved all the dwellings of Jacob. Okay, now, this food chamber here is the place, and you have another one on the other side there. This is the part of the gates of Zion. And you can see here, right there, you can see the sheep that we just brought in here recently from the last holy day. And what happens is this will be full up with sheep. And this will be food for the poor people. The poor people will come to the gate there. The priest will come here and gather out wheat and will give to the poor. So the Most High loved the gates of Zion more than all of the dwellings of Jacob because of the food pantry that was here for the poor. What we're going to do now, see, you just basically saw here the upper city. Now we're going to see the lower city. But then after that, we're going to take you to see, you see what it says Gilgal there?
Gilgal, yeah.
That hill right there is where Yeshua, where Jesus, peace and blessings upon him, was crucified. You still got stones there. Because the Romans used to take them along the highway. And they wanted everybody to see they crucified. The stones that they used to prop the crosses up with are still there. Unbelievable. And what happened here, after when you pass by there, you go to Bethlehem, right here. Bethlehem is right over there here. Bethlehem was the place as a burial place. It was a burial place where they used to, where everybody would die in the city, they would take them there. The Romans used to crucify people there and take them there to bury them. They had a fortress there that when Jesus was born, he came down that hill. The fortress in the well is still there. So when David took the city, his soldiers, he asked them for water. And they came in there, went into the well of Bethlehem, and they was able to get water. That's still right, that's right over that hill. You see, and that's where we're going right now.
As we began our journey towards the ancient site and well of Bethlehem, I thought about the intense research and dedication Brother Hoshua had put in. It felt divine. He had obtained a wealth of information and was happy to share all that he had come to know. Like a sponge, I absorbed it all. Hoshua asked Sheikh to make a stop down the road so that he could further explain the relevance of the current location and where we were heading.
Okay, now you see here, this specific map that we're looking at was basically 17th century, but it's based upon Josephus' map of Jerusalem. So right here, we just left, as you see, if the brother can swing around here, we just left Tel Aviv there, and you can see the Mount of Zion, the mount right up on the top. And right in the line with that, you would actually see Gilgal. And this is where Jesus, Yeshua, was crucified. You can see the two black eyes there. You see, so now when you go to the place where they call Jerusalem, they show the same type of cave there. But the fact is that the information here, there, isn't connected to what we just found in Zion. You see, so what we just found in Zion, walking down the main highway, this highway here was the same ancient road that the Romans, the reason why they used to crucify people on this hill. This village here was a part of the main road. For 1,000 years, people used to come up and down this village. So what we're going to do now, we're going to cross over there, and right over this hill, you see Bethlehem, which is where they used to crucify people and bury people over there also. So that's where we're going now.
That's where David was from, Bethlehem, right?
Exactly.
Bethlehem.
That's it. That's where he came from. That's where he was, and that's where Yeshua was born.
Okay, perfect. Let's go.
Where we at now, brother, is actually the 4th of Bethlehem. And you can see now, we're going to walk along the path of the entrance, the gate. And you'll be able to actually see, as we go through the entrance, where they had to attack to get the water inside the well. So let's continue here. Let's continue on this way. This here is what's happening here is that, look at this. This is the garrison, the garrison and well of water. That's 2 Samuel 23, 15 and 6. And also 1 Chronicle 11, 16 and 18. And that's pointing to this well. And what happened was the brother said, David said, oh, I want some water in that well. And the brothers came in through those gates, took the water, brought to David. And David said, hold up.
But he wouldn't drink it. That same one, he wouldn't drink it. He pulled it out. I remember that.
So you're actually looking at that well before you right now.
I'm reading that in the scripture, thinking how righteous was that they broke through the fortress. He said to them, "You won't be unjust of me to drink it." It was an act of righteousness done. Pulled it out. Blessed is the
And this was the fortress that they took, because this was the main Palestinian, and this was all all in Jerusalem. So as David was clearing the Jerusalem area, he was pushing the Palestinians, the Philistines, back toward the land of the Philistines. What this is a cross.
Yeah, it's a cross.
You see,
Yeah.
and it's an ancient Moor cross.
Yeah.
You see, and they were the ancient Hebrews that came into the land, and all this is connected. See, every symbol that these people used in the past is connected. See, the word Hebrew actually means, it doesn't mean cross over. It actually means cross. It means cross. It's a connection with the cross. It's an ancient form of what is called Christianity. An ancient form of Christianity. See, when the children of Israel left out of Egypt, they was dealing with the worship of Osiris, Isis, the god of the heavens, the god of the earth, and the god of the lower heaven. This was a part of our sin. You follow me? Because there was only one God. Jah Allah. Only one God. You follow me? So this cross represented Baal. Baal worshiping.
Baal worshiping is
Baal means marriage.
marriage.
You see, in Hebrew here, they say Baal. Bali. Marriage. Marry. So that meant it was the marriage between Allah and Jehovah. See, they separated Allah, and they made Allah the male, and they made Jehovah the female. You see, they made a marriage. They made partners with Allah. You understand? But Allah was one. It was only one God, Jehovah Allah. It's like saying, what's your first name?
Stephen.
And what's your last name?
Graham.
So, if I say Mr. Graham, I'm talking about you. But if I say Jah Allah, that's Stephen. That's like your first name and your last name. That's one. But they separated and made Jah one entity, Jehovah one entity, and Allah another entity. That was Baal, making partners. You understand? But there was only one. And the Jewish, they do the same thing when they say Elohim. Because they mean it's plural. Gods. You've heard of this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
But in the ancient Hebrew, it don't say Elohim. It say Aleph, Lamed, Hey. Allah. A-L-H. Allah.
You said, in Hebrew, there's Olakim, Olahim. But when I study, in the Bible, they say just write Ha, and you bet like this, Ha. You say Allah. Allah is Ha. Ha is Ha. You don't have to write all the names.
Right.
Even they say you have to hide it.
Right.
Don't make it clear. Even they say Olahim, they say Olakim. Olakim, they change the Ha. The H, they change the H with the K, the Olakim, Olahim, Olahim. But this, when they write, they say Olakim. But if you want to write, they say Ha.
They add it.
The add.
And see, the point I'm saying, what you said, they call it Hebrew, but it's not Hebrew, it's Aramaic. And the actual Hebrew, it is just those three letters. It's A-L-H.
Yeah.
And you'll find it in the Torah where you see sometimes you say A-L-H, you say A-L-H, Yud, U,
Yeah.
and then you'll see A-L, Allah,
Yeah.
and then you'll see A-L-H-U, Lamed. But see, the Jewish add the U, Lamed on there, and when they say it makes gods, and it's not God, it's just God, the one.
And some people say Ha'el.
The one.
The one.
Not the many.
The one, Ha'el.
Alhamdulillah.
Powerful, bro.
Very.
You see, so that's the sign of Baal. So let's go here.
Joshua led us off in the direction of the burial ground of the kings of Judea.
Now what we're looking at right now is the graves of the kings of Judah, all down this field here. And what happened is that this specific one is beautiful because it's untouched. You can see the archaeologists, they did their drilling here with the little hole there, but they just basically left it untouched. The mound, our people would bury each other like on a mound, like the pyramids. And like what you see in American ancient Indian mounds. And what was happening here, this is untouched, and this one here is untouched. But we're gonna show you here that they was actually robbed, that they actually took out the artifacts. This is the Pacific area where they found many of the artifacts. King Solomon's seal, Hezekiah's seal, it was all uncovered here. And they sold those things on the black market. This here is one of the most secretest places in all of Israel, and they don't let nobody know about it. This actual graveyard here. Okay, now see, so right here, this is actually gives you an idea of what a grave chamber looked like with the various different family members. But here you have the scripture at Judges 12 and 10, where it actually identifies Bethlehem as a burial spot. You see, so we actually had the actual fort there, and they were actually guarding two things. They were guarding that road, and they were guarding the graves of the kings.
I get you. So they're going the ancient road that we walked on, and there's guarding the grave of the king.
You see, and the amazing thing is that Yeshua, Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, he was born here, and then he was crucified there, and then he was buried here, and he was reborn here. You see, so the significance of this place and the area of this place is profound. It's just profound. You see, so we're going to walk in for a second, but I want to show you some other areas. We're going to walk in, and I just want you to see the various different chambers. Now, what we're looking at here, you can see this is one chamber, two chambers, and this is the main chamber. And this is like a door. So it's like I said, like I showed you a plan of the tomb. Now, what we're looking at here is three chambers. 1, 2, 3. And what would happen is that, depending upon when a family member died, they would bring him in, and they would lay in this family, lay in this person, lay in. So they would already have a tomb set up. When Yeshua, Jesus, was crucified, there was an empty tomb. From someone else that they happened to use, that they buried him in. You see, so certain people, when they were born, they would set their tombs up, like the pharaohs. They would build pyramids for preparation for their death. So this is what was happening here. So what's going on here, you see these large stones, and all these stones that you see here came from the door. And when the tomb robbers came in, they broke the stones that were used to cover them, and they just fell down the side. And the scripture makes a statement that the kings of Judah, their bodies will be laid, that will be taken out of the graves and laid out. You see, so right, that's why you don't see a lot of the bones in here. Some of you will see some bones actually still there. But this one here, like you said, you don't see too many, because they would grab their bodies out, take all the gold, and they would sit out there and just, you see, and the Most High taught us that. In order that we wouldn't seek the dead. You see, we would seek the living. So I'm going to show you one more, and then I'm going to show you the grave of Hezekiah and the grave of Absalom, which is on the top of the mountain. You can see the pile of stones right up here. You see, and here, what they did here, the grave robbers, they cut this part in, they came right underneath. They dug right underneath here to get to the grave. You see, now this part here was the part where they have the incense at, because they used to have, people used to come and they used to pray various different times. They used to come and they used to pray. They used to, come to the dead, like people come put flowers on it. This is what they would come here. But this is where Absalom was buried. And you can see here the fence that was around it. All the graves have these little yards or these little fences around it. You see, so that's another way you can tell that it was a king or it was somebody of royalty. Because a poor person just got a little hill. Like when you go out to the graveyard, all you see there's a little mound. You see what I'm saying? But the greater you were, the more stones, the higher your grave was, the more stones, the higher the hill was, indicating who you were. So the forest that we just came from, Absalom was killed there. You see what I'm saying? His body was taken here and buried here, right near the forest in which he was killed. And Hezekiah, his grave is right there on that hill. The same thing you see here is there.
On the hill, right?
The same type of setup here is there. But it makes the statement that we know that's Hezekiah's grave because it says it's above all the other graves. And all this is the scripture. See, that's why we use the Bible as our map. And the Bible was a good map. It was a true map. The ancient Hebrew Bible. You see.
The Bible is reliable.
It's a true map. You see. So these people, they tried to make it appear with the false Jerusalem that it's not a true map. So when people came there and they saw that place, they said, okay, well, because you're reading it, you can see the picture in your mind. And when you get here, you don't see the same picture as you see there.
It's like, you're wondering. There's always a doubt with that.
Right. Because they tell you, as the tourist, and I don't know if you took the tour, they would tell you, and they say, well, we believe Jesus. We believe this. We think.
I've been on one of the tours just experience. Just experience. I went on one of the tours, and it was interesting. The things they were saying, half of it was baloney because they're saying Jesus buried inside Jerusalem.
Right.
But according to the scriptures, that Jerusalem, if he was buried in that walled Jerusalem, according to the scriptures, he wasn't buried inside the wall. He was buried outside. Because
that's what they did. You see what I'm saying? And like I was pointing out to you, what ended up happening with David specifically, they brought him in the city. You see what I'm saying? And probably put him in the fort when they made that a holy area. And it was only certain people that they did that to.
Yeah.
You see, but the point is that during that period of time, they didn't do that with Jesus.
Yeah.
It tells you that Jesus was taken and he was put in an unused place. And that's all right here, just like you hear. An empty grave, and he was buried inside of that, in the graveyard. You see, so all of these things are very significant. But let's get past the point of Jesus. Let's deal with the point of Zion. Let's deal with the point of the graves of the king. Let's deal with the point of everything that was set up. The only house of Yahweh found this area. So now, when we go to Jerusalem, and as we go there, we're going to go down the border of Judah, and we're going to show you something else on the border of Judah that I haven't shown nobody else up until this point.
I look forward to doing that tomorrow. I definitely do.
Peace.
Peace.
As the night drew near and we headed back home, Brother Hoshua told us that before we go to the place the whole world called Jerusalem, we would return to the Jerusalem in Arad, as there was more evidence for us to see.
Okay, now you can see here that Zion is here, and that Hezekiah had built, he redirected the water system from going in the one direction, and then he turned it into the eastern direction, and he came and he allowed it to go down into the city here. You see, so what's going on here now is that he redirected the water, and then he built the pool of Siloam right here, a Salim, and he ended up allowing water to be able to develop in the whole lower city area here. And this is the actual lower city of Jerusalem.
Is the pool the thing with the round?
Yeah, right there. We're gonna actually go there, and we're gonna actually do some action, because that's gonna be a major point when we go up to the place they call Jerusalem. You see, we're gonna actually walk what is called the tunic. And as you can see, we was in basically the part of the real tunic of Hezekiah when we were down, when we was up in the actual fort. And then I'm gonna show you the outward portion of it, and then the underwater ground portion that actually led to the actual pool. That's all still exists today underground. It's all intact. But what we're gonna do there is we're gonna actually walk through the section that they're calling this, and you're gonna see it don't lead from the fortress. It don't lead to the walls. It's not leaving outside of it. It's just one stream from one place to another place. You know what I'm saying? And what they call a pool. and not even what they call in the lower city. So we're going to be comparing these things. But right now we're going to be continuing to walk up, and I'm going to show you the outward portion of the tunic, which is called Hezekiah's tunic, leading down to the actual pool. And then we're going to actually go down to the pool, and we're going to go into that in more detail.
Okay, so we're standing where exactly?
Okay, right, we're standing on the slope of Mount Zion, and water, as we know, goes down the slope. You see, so the water that Hezekiah, he's used the slope to go right down into the pool. So that all lines perfectly up with each other. So let's go up a little bit more. And what's happening now, as you can see, we're walking up to Zion, and these steps are even within the scripture. It talks about the steps that the people in the lower city, as they walked up the steps going up to Zion. So even the very steps here is testifying that we're in the right spot. You see, and you can look over in the distance from this point, the main road going to town, because the big gate is where Benjamin Gate, but the main road going to town is Judah Gate, right there. You see. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk around, we're going to get to the top, and we're going to walk around, and we're going to come back in through Judah Gate and into the lower city.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, now as you can see here, this is actually the spot that Joab climbed up into the fortress. And what happened was, and I showed you inside when we was inside, how Hezekiah used this gutter to redirect the water down into the lower city. And so now this became a part of Hezekiah's tunic. And you can see here, and you can see the tunnels that was used here, that the water came down, it went into this tunnel, and then you can see the secondary tunnel here, and this angled it directly to the pool that you see down in the lower city. You see, so this all lines up. So when we go to the area that's called Jerusalem, we're going to actually climb what is called Warren's Trench, Hezekiah's tunic, down from supposedly the water source, or supposedly where they say it starts, and we're going to see where it starts and where it ends. And the wonderful thing about this is it's going to end up at a pool, sure enough, but at the same time, we're going to see a water source. But where's the fortress? Now, where is the fortress that is actually supposed to have been taken? This is the thing that we're going to consider, because you're supposed to be climbing through there to get in the fortress. You see. So at this point in time, I think if we're going to really do this thing, me and you, well, even the old man or whatever, I got my clothes on, but we got to climb up through here. And I didn't come prepared for that, but we got to climb up through if we're going to do this in Jerusalem. So you ready for it?
You convinced me. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
So you'll say we're comparing the Hezekiah tunnel here, the tunic, the tunnel here,
right,
with the tunnel in Jerusalem.
Right, in the gutter that was supposed to be climbed up to take the city. You see, so we got to do it.
We got to.
Okay, let's go for it, young man.
Okay, let's go.
I was about to understand exactly how Joab took the city from the Jebusites.
The old man's getting too old for this.
Oh, you young man.
Okay.
Carefully, I climbed into the tunnel and began making my way through the narrow path that led to the fortress. I was looking forward to getting out on the other side.
Now, you can see here too that as it was used as a gutter in the past, you can actually see the drain pipe that's being used right now by the archaeologists as a gutter. You see, so this is what this is. So again, we see the ancient and we see the modern serving the same purpose. So let's continue on. Okay, brother, come on. Just lift yourself up there. Come on here, Joab. Right, there you go. Use the upper body strength. Hand right here. There you go. I got you. Come on up. Come on up, Joab. Hold up. There goes now. Okay. Right, there you go. Got that out your way. Hand right here. Your foot right there. Now come on up now. There you go, come on up. Put your other foot right there on that other step right there. There you go. And now you're up. Okay, get your whole body, get your whole body up on the step here. Okay, yep, right there. Okay, now reposition that foot on that side. Okay, so now what we're gonna do now is that I'm going for the top. You got yourself founded? Okay, so let me go here. You go here, here. And I need you just to push my booty. With that one hand, let's loose. Yeah, like that. Yep. Okay. Okay. Now let me get your hand, give me a gap. Okay. And go to that step that I just went on. You see the step right there? Yep. There we go. There we go. Okay. Same position here again. Let me get my foot up here. Lift, push booty. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now you can see now that we did what, brother? We done took the city. You see. So now the whole concept is that the brothers came in through the gutter, through the filth, through the mud, and you can see through the dirt, and they were able to come in, open the main gate, and allowing the army to come in, and once at that point the city was taken. You see, so now all we're saying is that when we go up to all we asking brothers to do is judge righteously. When we go up there to the spot they call Jerusalem, and we go to the same what's called Worn Trench or Hezekiah's Tomb or the gutter area, then where are we gonna end up at? Are we gonna end up on a wall like this on a fortress? Are we gonna end up in the city? This is the question. Okay, now we done finished basically here. As you can see, we climbed the walls. We done finished basically our tour of Zion. Now we're gonna get off into the next spot, which is Mount Moriah. Now the ark was taken from here because David had made the tabernacle of David in it. He had pitched the tent, and he had made the area that we see over there, a tent area over the foundation that we see in there. Later on, he took Solomon later on took the ark from there, the chest from there, and he brought it to this mount here, where David had built the altar. And on this mount here is where the temple was built. In that map that I showed you, it shows a temple structure right on the hill within Jerusalem, or within the Jerusalem. So what ends up happening, so we're going to walk over there just to verify that there's not one stone left upon another. And then we could continue our walk around the walls of the real Jerusalem.
Do that.
Okay, now see, so the whole point was that David had came here and he had picked an area of sacrifice. And you can see something appears to be here, and it's a stair structure here. But the point is that he came from Zion and he came up into this hill area, and in this area here, supposedly Mount Moriah or the temple was built. Now when we get over there, we're going to basically see the temple area or the hill that the temple supposed to stood on, Mount Moriah. So we're walking along this path. What did you say to me as we was walking, brother?
I was asking you, is that the original wall?
See, that's the thing. Everything here is original. That's the point. That's the whole point of the main thing we make. Everything here is original. This is one, and they tell you, this is one of the most preserved sites in all of Israel. Now, if the Most High loved the gates of Zion and his eyes upon the walls of Jerusalem day and night, you would think that he would preserve that.
Well, it does say he loves the gates of Zion more than all the children of Jacob.
So you would think that he would preserve that more than anything else. And they would tell you that this is the most preserved site. Let's continue. Okay, now, brother, now, this is why we walked all the way over. You see Zion there. And up on this hill we're up on top of is Mount Moriah. And you can see it's equal to Mount Zion. You see, and the scripture talks about how the city is built upon two hills. So this is that hill, and this is the area here that's actually called Mount Moriah where the temple was built. So you can see there's not one stone left upon another. And you look there, you can see the fort. Now in the picture I showed you, they had a complex that was here. You see, and not one stone, this is completely destroyed. So this is the main point that I'm making and the reason why we're here. But we're not going to be, this is not going to be about being rebuilt. It's not about the temple. It's about the tabernacle of David. You see, and this is why I'm calling people to the tabernacle of David to pray there, not to the temple. You see, this is going to be the place where the Most High is going to dwell forever. Now what's happening here is that there's another map that I show where I actually show Hab's temple. Now Hab's temple is over there. You see, so Solomon's temple was here. Hab came to build the temple over there, which Josephus map show. You see, so I'm not pointing and taking people to temples. I'm pointing to one spot, Zion, and that's my focus. So we're walking along the edge of the broken wall, and you can see right there, that's where the wall begins again. You see, so now we're going to get over there, and that's where Ephraim Gate started, and that's what part of my story and how I came to Mount Ephraim also started. So let's continue on. Okay, now you can see we got the end of the wall here, and see now this wall was extended all the way and down the mount, on the top of Mount Moriah, all the way to the fortress there. And the wall was built from this quarry. If you look at the distance, you'll see an ancient quarry that's still there. So that's it. So people say, well, all they got these right there, they go right there. And it's being used right now today still as a quarry. And we got the right there shape.
So we're actually standing here on the ancient wall, and we're actually standing when the ancient wall was destroyed.
Right, you know what I'm saying? And we continue now, you see the wall is going, now it's going down slope. But we got something really important here that I want you to show. When we got to this point here,
yeah.
this is the first gate. That you see at the beginning of the wall. And this is Ephraim's gate. Now, this gate here, as you can see, is still in disarray. This gate means something personally to me because I'm the first from my house, from my tribe of Ephraim to return to Zion. And I would come up here when I became the watchman here, gatekeeper. I would walk around the wall to secure. You see the fence here, the archaeologists, we put all of this fence up here to secure the site. And I would come here and I would sit in this specific, point. And at one point in time, when after I finished my research here, I started to go into the surrounding area. And there's an ancient path here. You can see the road going here, and it's going right up past the quarry. And it allows you to go up into the mount. And the first time I seen my farm, that I took you to, was when I was following the path of Ephraim up into the mountain. At that time, it wasn't my farm. You see, I looked over there and I saw one of the fortresses of my forefathers, and I stopped there and I saw through the ruins my farm. Later, 5-6 months later, by the grace of the Most High, I end up possessing that place. You see, so this is where the story of the watchman upon Ephraim actually began. Not when I moved there and actually took and became the first person among our people now that returned to actually get land in the land. But it actually started from me actually locating Mount Ephraim by following from the gate of Ephraim to the Mount Ephraim. And many people say, well, how do you know this is Judah Gate? How do you know this is it? Because the direction, you go to the gate, and the gate will lead you into the direction where the people travel. Benjamin Gate goes to the east. Judah Gate goes to the south. You see, so you can know the directions of the various different tribes. It was basically 4 tribes that Jerusalem intersect. It was Simeon, Ephraim, Judah, and Benjamin. And in that intersection of those tribes, those gates took you directly to those specific tribes. So this gate to me is something personal, and I put forth the call for volunteers for the people of Ephraim to finally come up and to try to help move some of the stones and to try to clear the gate of Ephraim, that it can become presentable. Okay, now you can see here, now these are the actual walls here that we're walking down. You can see Zion, and Zion is surrounded by the walls. The city is surrounded about the wall. So when we go up there to the spot that they call Jerusalem, we're going to make the point that Zion ain't even in the walls. What they call Zion isn't even fortified by the wall. You got the main wall city, and then you got the this is the primary position, that's the secondary position. You see, and when you look back here, see, as each king came into play, they will reinforce the wall. As you read through scriptures, it says he built on the walls and he built on the wall. So you can see actually here how one king came in and he reinforced the walls. But here, this is the original walls that goes back to the time that Solomon came in. But this here is when Hezekiah came in and he started reconstructing the wall. So it was different time periods, like the Great Wall of China. Every generation would build on the wall to try to reinforce it. But when we get up there, we're going to find out you don't see this fortress of the walls that's actually around Mount Zion. And that's where the Sheikh gonna come in. The Sheikh gonna tell us who actually built those walls. Because it's written there. So this is Judah Gate here. And you can see the main path here going out and throughout the gate. It's all paved. You also see that this is Main Street. This is Main Street, Jerusalem. You see, Judah Gate, and how we know it's Judah Gate is facing the south. You see, in the direction of Dimona, in the various different areas that the brothers from the south, and this is the valley of Gehenna that we're looking at right here, and that was the border between Judah and Benjamin. You see, so right now we got Judah Gate here, and we got to go into Judah Gate just for a second, and we're going to show what was the sin and what brought about the destruction of the city. Let's go.
As we walked into the lower city, through Judah Gate, Zion appeared to my eyes. She was no doubt fortified within the city walls. I couldn't help but wonder if Zion, in the place commonly referred to as Jerusalem, was also within the city walls, as written in the scriptures.
Now we're walking down the main street of Jerusalem. It's a state street.
This is the main street of Jerusalem, yeah?
And see, most of these shops here that you see in here are very small. And you can see they're very small shops. And see, because these shops are so small, the archaeologists looked at it and they said, well, okay, well, this city wasn't a large city. This is how they determined the size of a city or the area of the city from looking at what they call the size of the houses in the city. But that's a misconception. See, the misconception is that all our towns wasn't places that we lived. We lived on the land. We had farmers, we had herdsmen. This was downtown. Those was little shops that people would come and bring their wares, and that they would sell and trade with one another in these shops. And all in the wall, the king would charge taxes on everyone that came in here to sell. So he would protect their wares. The guards would protect their wares. I think we recall when, I think that was Nehemiah, when he closed up the city, you know, and prevented people from selling on that day. Because everything, all of the shops was right here. You know, downtown was closed. The mall was closed on the Shabbat day. You see. So people, most of these people that's trying to determine, and this is one of the reasons that they say Israel wasn't a mighty power. Because they went through all of these towns and they estimated from the size of the towns and the houses that they wasn't a mighty people. But when you consider the people living on the land,
A lot of people, powerful, good
right.
armies, pretty strong.
Then we see the scriptures come into play.
Makes sense.
You see.
It's like the scriptures.
So now let's right around the corner here. Okay, now see, so right now we're standing at the actual spot that brought about the destruction of the city. And if you look at here, you can see the actual altar that our people was actually sacrificing their children on. And this is the fire that the children were commanded to jump over. And later, after they sacrificed, they would burn them in this fire. After they jumped through the flame, they would burn them in this fire. In the Torah, it specifically forbid us from doing this. Okay, so see, so right now, we just left the section here above, you see, and we have here, the religious section is what they actually tell you it is. And now we're moving over to the pool here now. And that we talked about when we were up there, how we show Hezekiah's trench going down into the city, into the midst of the city. So now we're moving there and we're going to show you something that I think is going to be very impressive. Okay, now this is the spot here, and you can see what? Wow. You see, and you can't really tell that from up there. You see, so as you can see how deep, and it comes out here, and the water will flow directly down. You can imagine from how deep that is, how deep that has to descend to get here. You see, right where we were at, underneath the fortress. And see, so what's happening here now is that you can see the water level. You see, so this is at the point where Yeshua, this is the scripture where Yeshua told the man to come here on the Sabbath day, draw water from here, and wash himself, and he will be healed. You see, so this took place in this point here. So we want to compare this point to Jerusalem. We want to talk about how it came from the fortress, because it's written that Solomon was anointed in the fort before the Gihon spring. You see. So, and Hezekiah brought that stream down into the city. So now these are the type of things that we want to compare as we come. And you saw the actual hole that led down here. So now up in Jerusalem, they have a hole for you to walk through. And we're going to go through that. We're going to go through the same thing that they have there and see what happens.
Will I get choke on me?
Pardon me?
Will I get choke on me up there?
Well, no, actually, you're going to get water on you there. So the chalk that you got here is you're going to wash the water off there. But then let's make another point here. And this is the most profound point. According to the scriptures in Ezekiel, it talks about how the Gihon spring, or the water, is going to come from the Holy of Holies. And I mentioned to you before, when we first got here, how it's going to move into the direction where it's going to fill the land. And of course, the scripture is going to become the healing of the nation. Trees are going to pop up along the rivers, going to be called the healing of the nation. Now, that water isn't running here today. There's no water running here. That's why the whole land became desolate. But when we go up there, you're going to see that water is still running. So if that water is running there, then that water then supposed to be technically for the healings of the nation. So they're already saying that scripture has been fulfilled. You see. And if that's fulfilled, then there should be no more illness. See, so these are the points that we're going to bring out.
Interesting.
So let's go.
Let's go.
We had arrived in Jerusalem. Chief had made some very interesting and valuable points before we left Arad. The time for comparison drew near. I was pretty excited. Our first stop was Zion, in the old city.
Okay, now you can see here, we have finally made it to what the world called Jerusalem. So now we're going to do some real investigations. And this is the spot, actually, when I first came to Israel. And I started trying to really do the investigations from I first came to Israel in 1987. And from 1987 up until the year, I guess, 2000, I was actually investigating Israel. But from 1987 until 1990, I spent 3 years actually investigating what is called Jerusalem. And I came here, I sat in various different spots around the walls to consider the walls of Jerusalem. When I came here, I said, oh, the walls of Jerusalem. And I looked up and said, oh, Mount Zion. And just like everybody else in the world, you know, I bought into it. I bought into it. But when I went back to America, the question was put to me, is it really Mount Zion? And that's when the investigation started. So I came up the next year. You can see right behind us is I stayed right here in the hotel here, the YMCA and the King Davis Hotel right behind us. Stayed right here. And I walked out here from the hotel and I looked over what you see right now as Mount Zion. And I saw the slope of the mountain. I saw the valley. You see right there where the cars are at. And I saw the slope going up to the cemetery and to the church here that's sitting on top of what is called Mount Zion. And one of the main things that stuck out in my mind, because I knew that the Most High said that upon Mount Zion he would come and dwell forever. And I knew that that would be the place that his temple or his house would be built. Not on Mount Moriah, but on Mount Zion. So when I looked at this here, then the first thing that came to my mind, and I considered, was that the walls of Jerusalem. And I saw that Mount Zion wasn't within the walls. That's the edge of the walls of what is called Jerusalem right there.
The old city walls, yeah?
The old city walls. And I said, wait a minute, hold up now. And I said, Zion don't have any walls around it. There's no walls there. You know, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a fort. And then, you know, it's supposed to be a citadel. And then as I walked around the place, as I considered, you know, the structure. Now you can see that the slope comes up and it goes along the walls. And here we go here, the citadel.
So that's the citadel of David.
You see that's what they call here. We can pull out. This is one of the things I got here. The citadel of Jerusalem. David's citadel, Jerusalem. So that's supposed to be the fort. That's supposed to be what we walked inside. That's actually supposed to be the fort.
That's interesting because Zion, it is outside of the walls. It's not in the old city.
What they calling Zion here. But then I considered. I said, well, the Mount of Zion. Look, we got up. We go here, right? We go here, and we have the citadel in the walls. You understand what I'm saying? Still on the same mount.
Yeah.
Right? That. So that's possible that can be the mount in the walls and the citadel. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But then I considered that Zion's supposed to have been the upper city. It's supposed to have been raised up higher than Jerusalem, than the lower city. So when you look here, it's in the city. And then when you look even further, you see that's higher than this is.
Interesting.
You see, so let's go down first and investigate what the world called to be Mount Zion. And then let's walk around the citadel. And then as we walk up this road, we're going to see the highest point is at that point. On the opposite end of this point. See, this is the beginning of the mountain. And you can see the mount going up and slope in that direction. So if this is going to be Zion, and that's going to be the citadel, it's supposed to be there. Not here. But let's first go to what the world called Mount Zion.
Definitely. This is mind-blowing. Let's do that. Let's go.
Okay, now you can see from where we at right now, because we had another perspective. We had to show that wall there is not connected to what is called Mount Zion. And you can see now down in the valley here, where you can see the whole slope of what is called Mount Zion from right here. But the most important point we had to make here is that when you look in the distance there, and now Sheikh, what you see in the distance there, Sheikh, what you see in the distance?
Jordan Valley.
You see the Jordan Valley?
Jordan Valley over there, yeah?
You can see Jordan from here, from Mount Zion, and down into the valley, in the mountains. So this is proof that Jerusalem, or what they call the Mount Zion in Jerusalem, is surrounded by mountains. It's up on top of the mountain, because you don't see nothing higher than this point surrounding it, because you can look all the way down to Jordan Valley. You see, so this is one of the discrepancies in the scripture that this didn't fit. So we made the point that Zion was in the side of the north. We made the point that it was surrounded by mountains.
Yep.
You see, so here we see now that it's on top of a mountain, and it has no type of fortifications, and it's outside of the walls of Jerusalem. So that's the point that we want to make in standing at this spot.
Well, I mean, I believe what my eyes seeing it is. I mean, you can't see it surrounded by mountains, neither can you see, it's not protected, because you can see clearly. So, but I'm lost for words. I was stunned.
Well, it's just begun. It's just begun. The deceit has just started to unravel. Let's continue on.
As we began our journey towards the gates known as Zion, we came across an interesting road sign. Notice it points to the city of David and Zion in two different directions. According to scriptures, Zion is the city of David.
Hey, we at the gates. And you know something, we heard the bells, the doors closed. Look like we just cut out of Zion, man. We just cut out. You follow me? So this is actually supposed to, everything you saw here was supposed to be, this is the gate that's supposed to be leading you to Zion. Now this is everything we showed you from the distance. And this church that's here in Zion. And as you can see, these are the walls. These are the walls of Zion. But we don't see metal. We don't see nothing for the poor and the needy. But more importantly, where do we see the area where you had to climb into? Where is the area where Joab had to climb into the fort and take the fort? Is this a fort? Looks like a church to me. You see, so now let's walk now between the walls of what is called Zion and the walls of Jerusalem. Let's go for it.
So say these are the walls between Zion, the church,
and the walls.
The whole city.
Yeah, and we're going to start at that point, and we're going to walk all the way around the walls, and we're going to have Sheikh go to work and pointing out on the walls of Jerusalem who actually built these walls. And I think we're going to see a sign in English as who built these walls.
It was hard to deny what was before my eyes. Visualizing 2 Samuel 5 verse 7 seemed pretty impossible. Zion wasn't fortified within the city walls as written in the scriptures. I saw no gutter, neither was it near the citadel. In fact, there was a pathway between Zion and the old city.
Okay, so now you can see, brother, we just came from the point where it's called Mount Zion, and we're on a slope now. As you can see, we're going down. You see, so this is the Mount Zion, which is the higher point, and then we're going to a slope part here. But then you see what we have here, it's going up again now, and we got what you call the citadel. Now this is supposed to be the actual, what they're saying here, this is the actual fort that David was supposed to have taken. This is supposed to be actually Mount Zion, what they say. The problem with that is that you can see the walls, these walls here of Jerusalem is actually in it, but this space was only built by the Arabs, as we've seen before, that actually built the whole complex. So this doesn't date back to David's and Solomon's time. What we saw in the real Mount Zion was dated back, and we had proof of that. They said it on their signs. that it was proof that that was a citadel, that dated back to David's and Solomon's time. This absolutely don't. And we're going to prove that. Let's continue on. Okay, now you can see right here, Jacob's up the bat here. When I first came here and I started trying to understand who built the walls, were these the original walls, because when I first saw the walls, I said, hey, Jerusalem. But then when I started doing the investigations around it, I saw all this Arabic writing. And I talked to a guy at the time, this is back in 1988, 89. And I asked the guy on the way, he said, well, that's an Arabic, he says 91. So now the Sheikh here, you just brought up, you just clarified it. So exactly what's that date and what is that saying?
They're saying in Arabic, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
And that means in English?
That is the beginning of any surah in the whole Quran.
Okay. Right.
But they write it in Arabic, they have 7 ways how to write.
Okay.
It's difficult to read it now.
Okay.
But I can see in this corner, down here, the year when they make this. It's 925.
Okay, 925. 925.
25 Hijri.
Okay, Hijri. Right, so now we got here, we actually have here, this is the book I went and purchased to try to understand exactly how did that correlate out. And I got, this book came out in 2000, or probably 1982. And what happened is the calendar book, and I was able to look it up. And we got 1925, and that came out to the year 1519. So that in 1519, these walls were built. You see, so these walls don't go back to David in Solomon's time. What is called the citadel doesn't go back to David in Solomon's time. So when most people come to Jerusalem, the first thing they see is these walls, and the first thing they believe is that this is the walls that David and Solomon built. This is absolute proof that it is. You see. So we're going to walk all around these walls, and each one of these in Arabic is going to tell a story. Each thing is it's unfolding and we have our Arabic brother the Sheikh here to be able to interpret it and give us the real story as to what this is saying. Let's continue to walk.
Okay, if you look up there, you can see it's written in Arabic, La ilaha illallah, Ibrahim Khalil Allah. It means there is just one God. And Father Abraham, he's you know, the best close friend for Allah.
So it says there is only one God, and Abraham the closest friend to Allah.
Yeah. Khalil Allah, we call him Ibrahim Khalil.
Abraham the patriarch and prophet, a close friend to the Most High. I was definitely in agreement. Being an Islamic Israelite myself, I was in total agreement with Sheikh Aid.
Very interesting.
Okay, so now guys can see, we came all the way up. Now look now. We see Zion, we see the citadel, and we have walked all the way up here. Now we're at the top now. So technically speaking, we on Zion. Look down that way. You see, we're up at the highest point. Look down the way we're going down. The rest of the wall. We're at the highest point. So Zion is supposed to be at the highest point, and it's supposed to be a citadel here. There's nothing here. You see, even outside the walls. So it just don't fit the geography of what the scriptures say it's supposed to fit. And when I first came here in the 1980s, this is what I saw. Before I started looking for the real Mount Zion, it just didn't fit.
I mean, it's hard to deny we are outside the citadel. We're not in the citadel right now. We are at the highest point, so technically you are correct, you know.
You see, they can't change. You can't move a mountain. You can't move a mountain.
Wow, I thought, as we walked towards the next site, what impact would this have on the lives of those who follow the Abrahamic faiths? To be deceived at the very foundation of one's belief. How heartbreaking.
Okay, now see, right now, we at what is called like the busiest gate in this city that is called Jerusalem. And you can see Arabic gate. right here at the main gate. You see, now I don't see no letterings in there or any date. Although we're going to see one as soon as we leave here, another one, confirmation of that. But right now at the business gate here, what are they saying there, Brother Sheikh?
The writing there something is from the Holy Quran.
From the Holy Quran.
Quran. If you know, because the Arabic they have seven ways how to write it.
Okay.
So this is what we call it mu'allaq is together.
Okay.
So I can mention here Allah
Okay.
and the greatest.
Okay. Okay.
Allah, somewhere the greatest.
Beautiful. So at this point, it's very clear that whoever built the walls here were Arabs. So now let's get it, because they're writing in what? Arabic. You see. So let's continue to move from here. Okay, now, come on, people. Now, this is just a lie. This is a lie. King Solomon's, Zacharias cave. You see, the point is here is that these walls were not built during the time of King Solomon. So how in the world can this be Zacharias cave or even connected with King Solomon? How is that even possible? You see what I'm saying? See, so this is the type of stuff when I first came in, I saw that. And when I saw the actual dates, then it became clear that all this was about Taurism and about deception. You see. So now, and the interesting thing is that you can see it's inside the wall. This is supposed to be a cave or avenue, a restaurant inside the wall. You see. But when we was at Zion, the real Mount Zion, we pointed out the actual caves that's there. And you didn't see nothing in the wall. You see different shapes.
Out of the wall.
Everything was outside.
So you're saying this is just about money, economics, and deception?
And the thing about it is that up into the 1900s, when they actually found some artifacts, the real artifacts, or what the city really was, in the 1900s. So from the 1500s to the 1900s, this place was a complete lie. A complete lie. They knew it wasn't Jerusalem. But in the 1900s, the archaeologist, a guy named Warren, he actually discovered something. And the archaeologists have been working there ever since on what this place really is. What it really is and where it really is in the scriptures. And we're going to go off into that.
Okay, lead the way, man, lead the way.
Okay, now as you can see, we're walking down. You see, the walls are sliding down, but this here is just absolute proof of the slant in the direction we're going. Even the crack in this wall, even the actual landscape here, is actually going in this downward motion. So the point that we came from there was actually the highest point, but it wasn't Mount Zion. It just isn't adding up. Just isn't adding up. So let's continue on, and we got here another confirmation of the date right in front of us. Let's continue. Okay, now we're here again, and you can see we've been going through the road, and our brother here has been explaining this. Now we ran across another brother, and we got a witness here, or we got two witnesses. You see, so we walking the stone now, and he's reading the stone. So brother, what do they say there?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هذه الكتابة باللغة العربية المخططة عن طريقة الرقعة. بعض الكلمات التي أستطيع أن أقرأها أن هذا البناء أقيم في عهد السلطان سليمان القانوني بتاريخ 944.
Suleiman. So now who is this?
From Turkey.
This was a Turkish king.
Yes. Only before 600, that's the top.
Wow.
Not Israeli or Prophet Sulaiman who built this.
Sulaiman al-Qanuni.
Sulaiman al-Qanuni who built this.
Who built this?
Yes.
Aha.
And the name of this street, Sulaiman.
So the street's name is Sulaiman.
Yes.
The street is named Sulaiman.
Yes, Sulaiman al-Qanuni. Here is Sultan Sulaiman Street. the name of not Prophet Sulaiman.
Prophet Suleiman.
Right.
And
the,
I like
the Turkish king,
Yeah.
Suleiman.
I like to show you something Israeli change many times. This is the page. You see here Sulaiman. But in the other side, I show you that Israeli put like this to say it is the level of Israeli.
Okay, okay. Now
This is in you. This is, look here. It is in you, not old.
Oh, okay, okay.
Here the old, and you see the old, but here is the new.
Oh, okay.
It is before only 5 or 6 years.
So the wall was about 500 years ago by
Yes.
a Turkish Muslim brother.
Muslim.
500
Yes.
years ago.
Yes, it
That's
is
when the wall was
before. It is before only 500 years or
So
600
before 600
years.
years, this wall wasn't here. They put it here.
ماذا
بقول لك يعني قبل 600 سنه 50 سنه لما كان سليمان ما كان الحائط.
لا، كان في حائط آخر، حيطان أخرى تستطيع رؤيتها وهي التي تحيط بالمسجد الأقصى من الناحية الجنوبية.
Okay, now show us what you said on the other side. You said something on the other side.
Let me attempt.
Okay.
He said this wall it's the time of Sulaiman al-Kanuni. Sulaiman who is the man who make Turkey today. The Sulaiman who make the Turkey today.
Right.
But there is another wall that's in Al-Aqsa side,
Right.
in the southern of the Al-Aqsa.
We're gonna walk. We're gonna see that.
Yeah, that is the old one.
If you like, if that did not today is Ramadan, I take you to take many pictures for there.
Okay.
Because I like all the people to know the fact, not the wrong. Israeli said the wrong, not the fact. And all the time I like to ask you, and he said the Israeli in their schools or in Al-Kanis said اكذب 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 حتى تصدق ما كذب ومن ثم يصدقك الناس. يعني
He's saying, you know, that's in the Israeli Knesset, they say you must lie and lie and lie till you believe you're lying, and then the people will believe you.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Now, let me tell you what I was gonna say. Maybe you understand?
يقول لك الحين ايش هو بده يقول؟
I was gonna say that this is the symbol of Turkey, the Moors in Turkey. Moors. Moors.
يعني هذه علامة من الأتراك اللي قبل.
Moors.
يس هذه كانت علامة تركية، ولكن جابت هذا الحجر زورته. This Israeli knew it is put it
I understand.
now, not before.
Okay,
Not before
I understand what you're saying.
It is before only 6 years or 7 years.
Oh, okay, so you know that.
I know
You
that.
saw it.
And
we got a witness.
I call that in the Al-Quds television فضائية القدس أنا تحدثت and I make I speak about that in فضائية القدس.
Okay,
You speak
okay.
in القدس.
And I like to show you.
Okay, on this side.
Yes.
Our new friend led us to the old wall. He wanted to show us where the modern state of Israel had replaced old symbols of the Star of David, dating back to the Ottoman Empire, with more current ones.
If you count, you said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here 8, and here 8, and here 6 wide.
Yeah, six corners. Because
You know?
you see here, it's different.
And up there, that's La ilaha illallah in Arab language.
Yeah.
La ilaha illallah.
At the top.
Muhammad Rasulullah. And it said about who built this place.
Right, now, my friend.
Who did they build this?
Because I did not see good, but they said التاريخ here. التاريخ 49 أو 4 9 لا أرى.
It's 9,000, it's 9,000.
The same thing we said.
Yeah, 44.
The same thing.
44.
944.
44.
I think that.
Not 4.
944.
And see, listen to me. What I'm saying is that these two symbols here is for the Moors. Moors. Interpret Moors for me. Moors. The Moors from Turkey.
Yeah.
The Moorish
Suleiman.
Empire.
Suleiman.
Right. The Moorish Empire. Moor. You understand?
All of them Sulaiman al-Qanuni, not Prophet Sulaiman. And if that Sulaiman built here,
Yes.
we said Sulaiman Muslim, not Jewish.
Exactly.
And they David Muslim.
Exactly.
Say, the father of Sulaiman
Exactly.
is Muslims too.
Exactly.
Muslim, Abraham Muslim.
Yes, all of them Muslims.
According to our friend, ancient Israelites were not Jews. They were Muslims, meaning one who submit to the Most High.
It came from the Moors. You understand? Which was
I'd
Muslims.
like to ask you,
Okay.
هذه النجمة لا تمثل دولة اليهود. This did not يعني هي لا تمثل اليهود، ولكن هي فن حضاري هندسي أضيفت إلى داخل المسجد الأقصى أيضا نفس النجمة. لا هذه اللي هي السداسية لا تمثل إسرائيل، ولكن هم يكذبون، لأن الماسونية العالمية في أمريكا وغيرها من الدول تزور التاريخ.
He said, even this is not except for the Jewish. Because he said, even in the Al-Aqsa, there inside, they put on this.
Okay. Even the symbol.
Yeah.
So the Muslims are putting that symbol in.
Yeah.
Right, because
Yes.
it's Moorish. It's Moor. It's Moorish Muslim
Moor,
symbol.
yeah, it's Moor.
This is exactly my point.
The Israelis said now, because they haven't anything in the Holy Land, he like to said what he looking a lot of like this in the mosque, in the
Jewish.
many
He make it Jewish.
and they said this
It's
is
Jewish.
for Jewish.
Right.
Okay, so 1 second. So you're saying in the Alaska Mosque, yeah? In the mosque, the Alaska Mosque, the Al-Quds.
Al-Quds.
There's the same
The
symbol.
same symbol.
The same symbol.
The ancient symbol of David in the Masjid al-Aqsa was surely a testimony that the connection between ancient Israel and Islam has been mistranslated over the years.
Islamiyah.
This is one of the Islamic actor.
Right.
Yeah, the Islamic. And the Islamic, they do this.
Sheikh Qaid pointed to the star on the right. There was no doubt in my mind that old city walls were built by the Turks during the Ottoman reign. The question is, was there ever a temple established by Solomon, the son of David, in the city the Israelis called Jerusalem? As Suleiman is Solomon in Arabic, could there have been a misinterpretation over the years, causing Suleiman the Magnificent to be mistaken for Suleiman the son of Dawood, otherwise King David? Or has mankind be subjected to plain old deception?
Okay, now you can see here, as we walked around what is supposed to be the walls of Jerusalem, we actually saw that Arabic all around it. And we seen in Arabic that it was the Turkish kings that actually built it. But more importantly, we saw the Star of David and also another star there, an intersection of the two pyramids, that verified that it was the Moors. So now we see here, where you see the Arabic and also the star. This is the Moors. And this is saying that this is related to the fact that the Judaism and Islam was one. It came together as one. And at a certain point in time, it was separated into two religions. But it all is one. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. There's only one God. Peace.
As the moonlight shone on the city known as Jerusalem, the events of the day came to an end. There was much more to see and compare, but unfortunately, not enough time. Jerusalem bears a symbol of the past and future for all followers of Abrahamic faiths. According to scriptures, all mankind shall know her significance. Judaism, Christianity and Islam all agree the Messiah shall reign from Jerusalem. My question is, from which Jerusalem? I'll leave you to answer my question.